Having commenced its operations on May 24, 2008, the Bengaluru Airport, also called the Kempegowda International Airport Bengaluru, has witnessed phenomenal growth during the subsequent years, becoming the fastest growing airport in India. As one of the busiest airports in India, the airport is now connected to a total of 100 destinations, 75 across India and 25 internationally, and has also recently celebrated its 15-year anniversary. Cargo, which assumed a significant component post the pandemic for airports around the world, has also seen significant growth for Bengaluru Airport as well. For the second year in a row, Bengaluru Airport stood as the #1 airport for perishables in India and is the third busiest airport processing international cargo in India. Buoyed by its cargo successes, the airport launched a new brand proposition and identity exclusively for cargo called BLR Cargo on 3rd June 2022 amidst the cargo community in Bangalore. The airport's growth was propelled by the complete resumption of operations post-pandemic, the reintroduction of key routes and the initiation of new routes, and investments of around $2 billion that went into the overall physical and digital infrastructure that placed its customer at the heart of the airport's operations.
But across the course of the last 5 years at Bangalore Airport, we've done two things, right? One is we've invested generally about $2 billion in overall infrastructure development. And that means across the airside, terminals, landside, and support and utilities, including cargo infrastructure. We've also invested significantly in digital infrastructure. So I think we've had a spectacular run over the course of the last 3 to 5 years here at Bangalore Airport. What's happened is that there's been a significant growth generally in volume and tonnage. And in the last year, we had our best ever year with about 412,000 metric tons of cargo. The year before that, I think and I'm talking about CY 2022, where we had about 412,000 metric tons. In FY 22, we had about 411,000 metric tons, so it was roughly sort of the same. And the last 12 months have probably, that year has been our best ever year, like I said, since the airport opened. This year, we will probably end up in the range of somewhere between 420 and 430,000 metric tons.
Domestic cargo aside, the airport's cargo fortunes were also driven by international cargo, especially exports of agricultural products, perishables, and pharmaceuticals. When it comes to import perspective, it was driven by electronics and heavy machinery.
I think the growth was driven by a combination of the fact that we had the right facilities in terms of physical infrastructure, and also we had invested tremendously in digital infrastructure over the course of the last few years. So I think those two things acted very well in combination with the fact that the market was looking out for new players, was looking out for new products, and that we were located in the right part of the country and able to tap into the hinterland and the general growth story of Bangalore and Karnataka. Over the course of the last 5 years, we invested tremendously overall across the sort of spectrum in terms of infrastructure. So we have a new runway, as you know, that was commissioned in 2019. We have invested heavily in airside infrastructure in terms of taxiways, aprons, dedicated cargo and freighter stands. We've invested in sort of upgrading our cold chain facilities here at the airport, and there's been an investment in terminal infrastructure. We've invested tremendously in the road and lakeside infrastructure in terms of expanding the cargo road from 1 lane to 2 lanes on each side. We've invested in the truck parking facilities, which is called the ADMF, the Automated Truck Management Facility here, that's run by Shell. And I think all of these aspects put together has meant that the overall cargo infrastructure from a physical perspective has significantly enhanced our capabilities and also led to two things. One is volume growth, but equally improving our dwell times and sort of processing capability, because it's just generally made the ease of getting in and out of the airport far better. So I think that's sort of, driven cargo growth as well, because our stakeholders have recognized this fact. And I think many of them prefer Bangalore Airport as their cargo sort of airport of choice. And this also allows us to get things in and out so efficiently that we can get, for instance, from farm to fork, as they call it, within a 24-hour period. Our cold chain facilities have really been some of the best in the country. We've got our express cargo. That's the other facility that we invested significantly in. So our express cargo terminal, or our express courier terminal, however you choose to call it, our ECT, was developed in March 2021, if I'm not mistaken, was inaugurated in March 21. And that has also meant that we've got 3 of the largest dedicated freighter companies coming in here on their own metal.
Global supply chains rapidly became digital after the disruption which was the coronavirus pandemic, and airports globally have been on the path of massive digital transformation. The belief within the industry is that with digital technologies like IoT, AI, and data-led innovations, the traditional logistics and air cargo industry stands an opportunity of being almost completely transformed. Bangalore Airport took to this idea early on, and today, exports at Bangalore Airport have a typical 13.9-hour dwell time, while for imports it is about 43 hours, which is much less than what it used to be historically. Hours of waiting with copies has been replaced by most processes having gone the digital route.
As an airport, over 5 or 6 years ago, we realized that technology was going to be a major driver of growth. And we did that across 3 areas: operational efficiency, new sources of revenue generation, and customer experience, right? So if you look at all of our investments across the airport, they've been focused on those 3 areas. So we've done process automation across the airport campus. We've done data analytics and business intelligence across the campus. We've done focused sort of passenger-facing app improvements. And on the cargo front, what we did very specifically was focusing on our air cargo community system, which sort of brings together all of the stakeholders within the cargo community and puts them on the same platform. And it allows us to make the entire process digital. So today we have no paper processes at Bangalore Airport across the cargo system. So stakeholders can come in, they can do everything on their mobile phone. Everything is tracked electronically. They get notifications. Customs and the cargo terminal operators have full visibility from end to end. And all of this has meant that it's completely seamless. And our entire cargo community and our cargo platform is now seamless on the ACS. Additionally, we're moving to a warehouse management system, which is also completely digital across the 2 terminals. Our truck parking facility, for instance, is completely digital, which is that you come in, you get a token, you know when you have to go to the cargo terminals. So in every way across the sort of, let's say, land side to air side and vice versa, right? Whether it's import, export, domestic cargo, whatever it is, I think we've invested in digital infrastructure to make it easy for our stakeholders to know exactly where their cargo is, how long it takes, a full visibility, multiple copies, no paper, etc. And I think our customers appreciate that, and that's also been a major factor in sort of driving this growth.
Having achieved more connectivity globally, and with the opening of Terminal 2 this year, Bangalore Airport has become a leading transfer hub and the preferred gateway to South India. 2 of its standout digital features, among many others, that make it a preferred choice for cargo players is the airport's dedicated bonded trucking service operations called LogiConnect, and the implementation of Air Cargo Community System along with Carle Logistics, which was rolled out in a phased manner. LogiConnect is endorsed by over 200 exporters and used by over 40 logistics partners, connecting cargo to over 24 direct destinations. The Air Cargo Community System, or ACS, currently has over 1,200 trade members, and over 65,000 international shipments per month are transacted on an average on the ACS.
Bonded trucking is very straightforward. I mean, depending on, for instance, if it's Erode or Tirupur, it's textiles, right? If it's Avur or Vanembody, it could be leather or other processed sort of finished goods. And what they do is they certify it there, they get it customs cleared, they put in a bonded truck there. So when it comes here, it doesn't have to go through all the checks all over again. It can just go out straight for export. It comes in a bonded sealed truck. It comes to our ATMF, it gets cleared there, it goes to our cargo terminals, and then it goes out for export. So the whole point is you can do it there. Once you've sealed it and once you sort of set it up, the LogiConnect route is a bonded sort of truck that's coming here. So the good part is you don't have to come here like you used to historically and have to go through the whole customs process here. It's been cleared. So it's ready for shipping. It was a dedicated partnership that we did in the hinterland with key partners, with key stakeholders, with freight forwarders, etc. to make sure that we could tap into these markets and tell them that there's value for them by coming through Bangalore Airport.
Its robust cold chain facilities and IoT temperature monitoring solutions at terminals have meant that Bangalore Airport has maintained its position as India's leading airport for handling perishable cargo for the 2nd consecutive year. The freight terminals have an annual cold chain handling capacity of 60,000 metric tons. Its express terminal houses international integrators like DHL, FedEx, UPS, and the EICI, or Express Industry Council of India. Starting in January this year, QuickJet has launched domestic freighter service at the Bangalore Airport for Amazon Prime Air, adding more might to its express vertical. A change of guard when it came to the airport's concessionaires this year is also expected to add further momentum to its cargo handling capabilities.
So we've got about 60,000 metric tons of annual capacity here across the Bangalore Airport, perishable and cold chain facilities. And that's split as 40,000 and 20,000 across 2 facilities on the AI sites and the Menzies side. And fundamentally what it does is these are dedicated cold chain facilities where they're temperature controlled. and in partnership with a couple of other people who have IoT temperature control devices like Envirotainer and others, for instance, you can bring your farm fresh produce, or you can bring, for instance, meat, or you can bring pharmaceuticals or whatever it is in temperature control trucks or facilities to the cold chain facilities. We have 60,000 metric tons of capacity here across our terminals, and they're temperature sensitive. You can set the temperature range to what you want in order to maintain the integrity of the cold chain. And as they go through their facility, they're completely within that restricted temperature control facility, which means that we can guarantee to our customers or to our farmers or whoever, or pharmaceutical companies, that you can get from, say, when they produce it or when they sort of put it into or cut it or ship it, within 24 hours it gets to its destination. And that cold chain integrity is never broken. But I think today what we are very thrilled about is that 3 of the largest dedicated freighter companies actually fly their own aircraft in here. We have FedEx, we have DHL and Aerologic together, and then we have UPS. And that's not something that you see at too many Indian airports. I believe along with Delhi, we're the only other airport who actually has that advantage. Secondly, we've got a number of international airlines who bring their dedicated freighters here, whether they're sort of, Turkish or Qatar or Singapore, Cathay, Emirates, and a number of others who I might be missing. I think there are 13 or 14 different airlines who come in here from a freighter perspective. And all of them have driven cargo growth here across Bangalore. And what has been very gratifying is that it's been increasing. So I think the proof of sort of the pudding is in the eating, as they say, right? So I think from our perspective, the fact that all of these cargo carriers are coming in here and we've been increasing in terms of both frequency as well as capacity.
WFS, a member of the SATS group, marked its India foray with the launch of operations at Kempegowda International Airport in Bangalore recently. WFS Bengaluru Private Limited, a joint venture between WFS and BIAL, will operate a cargo terminal facility at Bangalore Airport with a concession period of 15 years. WFS will also be the exclusive operator of Bangalore's dedicated cold chain facility during the concession period. WFS will be making significant investments into upgrading and expanding the 2 terminal facilities at its Bangalore gateway to take the annual cargo handling capacity to over 250,000 tons of general cargo and 80,000 tons of cold chain cargo in phases. Further, Menzies Aviation Bengaluru Private Limited, or MABPL, has been appointed to operate Cargo Terminal 1 at Bangalore Airport. MABPL is a joint venture between Menzies Aviation Limited and BIAL and would be taking over the operations of the Brownfield Cargo Terminal from 24th May 2023. MABPL is also coming up with a greenfield domestic cargo terminal at the Bangalore Airport, where domestic cargo of all carriers operating at Bangalore Airport would be handled exclusively. Buoyed by the growing heft of the Indian middle class, higher disposable incomes, demographic dividend, over 1,200 planes on order by various Indian carriers, the improvements in India's aviation infrastructure, and the Indian government's latest policies like Make in India and Gati Shakti, the report card for India's aviation sector seems optimistic. These factors have in fact also enticed several tech giants, including Taiwanese contract electronics manufacturer Foxconn, that was looking to diversify its production in India away from China to seek a base here. Bangalore Airport seems to be placing its bets on being part of the larger India story and gaining more cargo share from verticals like electronics, e-commerce, and more specifically, the movement of semiconductors and the might of the Indian manufacturing sector going forward.
So we've got capacity here of about 750,000 metric tons annually. Our volumes are in the region of between 420 and 450,000 metric tons this year. And I think we are not building anything right now, but as we look forward, we will be building a new domestic cargo facility. We've just awarded a tender for a new logistics park, which will also sort of commence shortly. That should be ready in the early part of 2024. And I think over the course of the next decade, we will invest significantly to grow the facilities from the 715,000 metric tons to what, 1.4 million metric tons. But I think equally you will see that growth in new sectors that may not be apparent today. But as India grows, I think manufacturing will be a huge sort of area. You will see a lot more on the export of manufacturing as the Make India policy start taking effect. I mean, I have no doubt at all that in sort of, let's say, the early to mid 2030s, we will be 90 million passengers and about 1.5 million metric tons of cargo. I think that will happen. It's a natural sort of growth.